ladies and gentlemen, whether you like it or not, Hedwig!
Steht vor meinem Doctorstisch, die Lache aus der Glut. Es denkt an jeder kann mich beschweren, mit Gravity, Spur und Blut. Enemies and adversaries, they try to turn me down.
Hello, Kansas City and beyond. We are back with Hedwig, Inch by Angry Inch, the podcast where we analyse and tear down the movie masterpiece that is Hedwig and the Angry Inch, chapter by chapter. That makes actually even more sense today because we're going to tear this wall down, baby. I am your host, John. Hello again. And I am joined by my very, very special guest, Broadway critic, writer, and Hedhead, Hedwig superfan, Adrienne Proctor.
Hi, that's me.
Hey.
I'm a super fan of Hedwig and also a super fan of this podcast, I have to admit.
Oh, thank you. I decided to call on my first, well, not my first, I mean, everyone's been a super fan, but I decided to call on a super fan that I know.
Yes.
Because technically not a lot happens in this chapter. It's a great chapter, but it's a lot shorter. So I thought I'll get the best of the best, someone who knows what they're talking about.
Thank you. Well, this is the Bat-Minute version of the Hedwig podcast. It's basically 1 or 2 minutes long, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down.
Oh, yeah. And this chapter is chapter 10, and it is titled, it's not the most exciting title, Junction City, Kansas, Freedom. Which is a weird title because it's kind of the opposite.
Yes.
They're free, but are they free?
And I can actually attest to the lack of exciting sounding title because Junction City, my husband used to actually be stationed there for a little bit.
Oh.
So I spent a little bit of time there. I didn't actually live there because I live in Oklahoma City. And so I was traveling back and forth because I was going to school in Oklahoma. I was finishing my up at university. So I didn't actually live there, but I spent a few weekends there. And it's a very Kansas place.
This is how I imagine it to look, Kansas in general. Yeah.
Yes. It's very flat, which Oklahoma is very flat too. So we can't really talk about that much, but you can definitely tell from watching Hedwig that John Cameron Mitchell knows exactly what he's talking about whenever he talks about like in Wicked Little Town, whenever they say Junction City ain't the spot, it's true. I mean, Junction City is not the spot. And
not the spot for anything.
No. They hang out at the Walmart there, which for fun in the evenings. We go to Walmart and hang out.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned him being stationed around here, because I decided to finally, after all these years, actually look the place up.
Yes.
Because, we see it on the map coming up. We go to Junction City, and I didn't know a lot about the place, except for the signpost being full of bullet holes. I thought that probably tells me a little something that I...
Wow.
I know, yeah. And then, I looked it up, and I saw that Fort Riley is nearby.
Yes.
So that made me go, oh, I'm assuming that's why they are here, because that will be now where Luther is based.
Yes. And I believe that was where John Cameron Mitchell's dad worked whenever he spent time there. But that's where my husband worked also, was Fort Riley. Yeah.
That's amazing. You've got even more of a connection to this than I thought.
Do, weirdly. Weirdly, but...
This is what life just outside Fort Riley is like for everybody.
It really is. And I know that Hedwig, or I think in real life her name was Helga. I could be wrong, but Hedwig, the character, is based off a real person that he knew. Yeah. Who she was a German army wife, and she was moonlighting as a prostitute, I believe. And now I think back to all my time that I spent there, and I think, gosh, I wonder if I ever saw her, or ran into her, or walked by her, or like, what is her story?
You might have actually met her.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I talked to anybody. I don't think I talked to anyone that No, that live there.
You tried not to speak to a soul.
Yeah, I tried to keep my head down and just, yeah. all the time I spent hanging out at Walmart. Yeah.
That sounds like a fun place to hang out, the Walmart.
I probably passed her in the Walmart. I don't know.
You never know.
There's not that many people there, so it's possible.
Yeah, it looks like a kind of is it a small town in size? Because I imagine it's a big place, but nobody's there because it's so flat and empty.
Yeah, it feels bigger than it is, I think. Yeah. And whenever I was there, it was it's been about 10 years, and a lot of it was under construction, so it sort of felt like it was brand new in a way.
Oh, that's weird.
I know.
That's very strange to me because, pretty much everything here has been here for insane amounts of time, hundreds of years.
Right.
Of crap.
Yes, exactly. And even Oklahoma, where I live, is very, very young. I mean, we just had our 100 years of statehood.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And 2007. So like 113 years. So.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think how long has Liverpool been here? Let me
I know.
briefly look this up. I don't think that they probably don't even know.
No.
It just brings up football. Let's put history.
Oh, that's it. Not the Beatles.
So Liverpool was. They can trace it back to 1190.
Oh wow.
But they think it's older, but they can't confirm.
Oh my gosh. There was no written history before that.
No
Oh my
written
gosh.
history.
That's amazing.
And it was even spelt differently. The V was a U.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. English, always changing, always stupid.
Always.
Always. But I should probably start at the very beginning. There is something we didn't talk about, actually. It's the very, very end of the previous chapter.
Yes.
Because we see Hedwig, they bend down, ready to take flight. And she jumps and literally flies through the air. And I absolutely love the fantasy of this, because she's almost kind of jumping through time in regards to telling us her story. And she's also kind of leaving her body in this moment, transcending everything going on around her, this brawl.
And of course, and you've talked about it before, but I love the hair that's framing the camera as she.
It's wonderful.
It's so lovely.
It slays me every time. I can't help but laugh. It's so funny. It's kind of one of those things that's so stupid in the best way. It knows like, oh, this is just fun. This is camp.
It is. The entire movie is just like a psychedelic music video from the 90s, I feel like.
Yeah. It's wonderful. And I also said last chapter about how she's also maybe coming to realize certain things about the direction of her life from, what was going on, about how things with Yitzhak are going. And she'll act against this realization later, obviously. But I believe it's there. Like, she knows what's happening between them. They're growing apart. Like, it's kind of done at this point, even. They have a bit of closeness, and then, like, it's kind of the final hurrah.
Yeah. This is the point where I actually start to feel a little sorry for Hedwig. This is the point where it starts to kind of get sad, I think.
Yeah. Especially with what's coming up.
Yes, exactly. She's just kind of sitting in her chair.
Yeah. So, basically, the brawl turns into a food fight. Families are getting involved. I've never wasted food like this.
No, absolutely not.
Absolute fucking disgrace. Don't you dare waste food. I'll eat it all. And then, we get a little cartoon interpretation of Hedwig and Luther's wedding.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, isn't it lovely? I adore this artwork. I mean, all the artwork in the movie is great, but this in particular, I think it's kind of cute, and Hedwig looks fantastic. It's
Always.
such a cool art style.
It is. That's one of the things that you kind of miss whenever you see the stage show. You don't get all that artwork. You get, I've seen ones with the Origin of Love drawing, of course, on the top, but you don't get all that cool artwork that you get in the movie.
See, if I was putting on a show, which I never do,
right.
If I was, though, I'd try and find ways to incorporate it somehow. Even just on projections. Like, you don't have to even draw attention to it. Just have it there.
And John Cameron Mitchell has a really cool artist that does live projections during the Origin of Love tour. And so they have just a camera on a table and they just put little pictures and things that go along with the show.
Great. See, that's all you need, I think. That's perfect.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, and they throw paint on the pictures and tear them up and draw mustaches on them and cool stuff like that. It's really fun.
Well, we should probably bring this up, actually. You are a fan of the movie, of course.
I am.
But you are an even bigger fan of the stage show.
I am.
That's another reason I called on you, because I was like, well, you know what? If we're going to have to go off on tangents, what better tangent than a stage show fanatic to be on?
Let's go off on a tangent, please. Yes, I am. It's so funny because I became familiar with Hedwig from NPH. Neil Patrick Harris was doing the revival. That was in 2014, so it's been 5 or 6 years, and I always kind of knew who Hedwig was just from the movie poster. I mean, you've seen, that iconic blonde lady singing.
You don't forget it.
No, you really don't. But I think in the back of my mind, I thought it was probably Rocky Horror or something. I wasn't really committed to watching the movie. But whenever I found out that Neil Patrick Harris was doing the Broadway show, I thought, I have to see this. And I didn't think I would ever get to see it because I live in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I get that. Being in England, I mean,
Yes.
there's small productions of it, which are great, obviously, but the big sort of show hasn't come here.
Right. And I still have not seen that. So there's actually 2 different versions of the show. There's the off-Broadway version, which John Cameron Mitchell and Stephen Trask did for years, those tiny little like squeeze box in Jane Street Theater in New York. And then they made the movie based on the off-Broadway version. And then the Broadway revival is when they had Neil Patrick Harris and they had the Hurt Locker kind of line that goes through with the car.
Having not seen the stage show.
Okay.
That, because I've got, for research purposes, I've got like the Broadway playbook here and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And the Hurt Locker thing confuses me a little bit.
I don't like it. So as far as the Broadway production, I've seen bootlegs upon bootlegs on YouTube. The tour came to Dallas with Ewan Morton. But that was right before I saw a local production, and I didn't even know about it until after it had already come, which it would have been like a 3-hour drive for me to go to Dallas. I would have done it, but I didn't know about it.
That'd be worth it, yeah.
Yeah, but so the local actors here do the ones that there's only one. There's really only one, and he's been doing it for 20 plus years. He used to live in New York City, and he used to watch Hedwig every weekend at the Jane Street Theater. He would just go watch this weird little punk drag show.
Hell yeah.
It was just, this weird little underground thing, which it still kind of is. But, and so whenever he moved back to Oklahoma, he started doing it here. And so little did I know that there was this Hedwig, this whole following that had been, the people in the theater community here just kind of follow him around and go to all of his different productions that he does at each different theater. And so it's great. It's wonderful. And we all, whenever we see each other at each different show, we ask like, okay, have you seen him? Did you see him at this one? Or did you see him then? And then he finally, the production that I saw in 2017, he finally brought on another actor. So he did half the run, and then the new actor did the second half of the run. And
that's great.
Yes.
Like bringing up the next generation.
Yes. And they even had a cool scene where they, so the Hedwig who was on stage at the time, her mic has a cord. And so she's like, this cord is like tethered to the core of the earth, and the stagehand comes out and gives her a cordless mic, and it's the new Hedwig. So it was,
I like that.
And so he hands it to her, and she's like, oh, so you want me to just give this one to you? You want me to just hand this to you? And so they kind of hand the microphones back and forth. It was really cute. So that was the off-Broadway version.
Yeah.
And so that's the only one that I've seen live. And since then, they've done it another time at a drag bar. And yeah, as far as the Broadway version, I feel like the off-Broadway version is the really, truly the way Hedwig was intended, just because she's in,
Oh, yeah.
like in the movie, she's in like playing at a restaurant, like by the salad bar, or
That's how I want to see it.
Yes, yes. Like she's climbing on people's tables and they're just trying to eat and they're like, what? Who is this? Why is she singing?
Oh, I'm glad you agree, considering you got into it through hearing about Neil Patrick Harris doing it.
Yes, which is it's so funny how it just comes full circle, because then I saw, I finally found all the Broadway bootlegs and on YouTube and whatnot. And you can watch all the Hedwigs on YouTube. You can watch Darren Criss. You can even find one of Lena Hall.
Those two seem to be very big fan favorites on Instagram.
Yes.
They seem to be up there with the top tier.
Well, Lena Hall did both. So she's the only actor to do both in the same production. She was Hedwig as well as Yitzhak.
That's amazing, I think.
It is.
That really shows how talented she is.
I know. She's incredible. She sang for the Pope when she was like 14.
Holy crap, I didn't know that.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, she sang for the Pope, and then she was Hedwig. So she could
that's hilarious.
She could do it all. I know.
And it kind of ties in because there's a lot of religious themes throughout this, not in the conventional sense, but they're there.
Yes, exactly.
And no, I agree though. I think Hedwig was meant to be done in a small theatre or even a bar or something like that. I don't hold it against the Broadway one. I think it's fantastic that it came back. I mean, who thought Hedwig would even come back and then be such a big thing on Broadway? That's crazy. Don't hold it against that at all, and I would see it in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
But I would, I don't know, it's still slightly more sanitized, maybe.
It is, and it's different. It's a different art form, I think. It's more modernized, too, which I think you've talked about that in a previous episode. But, it's got, the actors are generally younger. They kind of appeal to, like you said, this Instagram generation, whatever it is that we're in now. And it's a weird dynamic because Hedwig is from the 80s. She's from whenever the Berlin Wall comes down. And the actor playing her was probably not even born yet whenever that happened. So
yeah, it's pretty wild, isn't it? I mean, obviously you can play parts that I could go on stage and play someone in a World War II play or something. That's fine.
Sure.
But I don't know. It seems a bit strange, the timeline of that, because are they setting the Broadway one now or when it came back?
Yes.
That's what's weird.
Yes, I believe it's set in present day because they have the Hurt Locker musical.
Yeah. That
was supposedly it opened last night and closed at intermission, is what they say.
That's funny.
In the show. Yes. And so before they strike the set, they're going to let Hedwig use it one more time. And she thanks Niederlander and all of these, the Schubert organization, all of these modern day Broadway producers. So it's almost like a self-contained world where you have to understand that this happened not at a time where we actually are, but
Broadway world.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. So, and I wonder for the future of the show, how will it continue to be relevant? Because like we talked about, or like you talked about in previous episodes, so much of the audience doesn't even know that history. And there's so many of the jokes that even I had to look up because I didn't know.
Oh. See, I'm a history buff. On the side, I do a degree in history.
Yes. No, there are so many things that it's horrible. It's embarrassing. I didn't know what Crystal Knocked was.
I could understand if you're not as really into, because specifically I love history from 1900 till 1990, like the whole World War I, World War II, Cold War. That's my thing.
Yes.
So I know that, but I could see you not knowing that.
Exactly. And then, of course, if you're watching it live, the Hedwig is going to ridicule the audience who doesn't laugh. So it's like, that was me. I swear I laughed.
To be honest, when I'm at something, if I don't get it, I just laugh anyway because I don't want the performers to feel like they failed.
Exactly.
It's like, no, it's me who's failed you.
Exactly. I'm sorry I didn't get your joke. It was really good, though. A courtesy laugh.
Oh, exactly. It's like a white lie. I'm not trying to hurt anyone here. You know, I want you to be happy and comfortable.
And the thing I love about Hedwig is, you're so afraid that she's just going to just point at you and just laugh or just make fun of you. You just want to be unseen. You don't want her to notice you at all.
See, normally I would be like that because I have horrible, crippling anxiety. But I don't know, at this kind of show, I'd like to get picked on.
Yes. Well, the thing that's great is the first time you see Hedwig, you're kind of the butt of the joke. And then after that, you're in on it. So you're sort of along with her and making fun of it. It's like, oh, here comes the part where you're supposed to laugh and you don't know it. So it's great.
Love that.
I love it too.
Well, we said we were going to go off on tangents, and we did
Always.
right there because we were talking about that cartoon. So then, after we look at this amazing cartoon of Luther and Hedwig, we see them moving to Junction City in Kansas. So they're going from Germany to America.
Such a seamless transition from Germany to America.
I'm sure there were no cultural problems there whatsoever. Like, an East German moving to Junction City in Kansas, that's got to be a bit of a shock.
Right. A culture shock, at least.
Yeah. Like, whoa. I didn't know America was like this. Because they think America's big and glitz and glam and they're going to live a fantastic life with Luther, But sadly, not.
Well, and she is influenced by American music. So, I feel like Hedwig is heavily influenced by Bowie also, which is obviously not American.
But Bowie's kind of influenced by American things as well.
Oh, really?
There's Lou Reed and everyone, yeah.
Okay, yes.
So it's kind of a symbiotic kind of thing.
Yes. This very Americana idea, which I'm sure is shocking when she gets here and realizes that that's not... Especially middle America. It's not like
I think I'd find that weird.
Yeah, it's not a glam rock party every day, all day.
It must be like that when people come to England, I think, because it's not nice.
Really?
Oh, Jesus Christ. England's awful. It's just run down mess of a place.
Oh. Is it very cold there?
Most of the time. Yeah. It's pretty cold. It rains a lot. Someone compared it to, in America, Portland. Like, it just rains.
Oh, lovely.
But I don't know, because I've not been there.
Yeah. Well, I've never been to Portland either.
As far as I gather, Portland is rainy, because it's by the sea, is it? Or it's near the coast?
Yes.
I don't know. I know nothing about America.
It's on the west side. Seattle, I think, is supposed to be really rainy
it's
as
next
well.
To there
okay,
as well.
See, there we go.
Because I only know that because Jinx Monsoon is from Portland, but lived in Seattle for a long time because they just moved because it had a bigger drag scene.
Oh, perfect.
Obviously.
See, there you go. I'm actually very proud of the drag scene here in Oklahoma.
Oh,
yeah.
Weirdly, I noticed this from like watching TV and Drag Race and things. These small towns seem to have a good little scene going.
We do. We have our own little Tu Wong Fu happening.
Oh, I only just watched that recently.
Oh gosh, I love it so much. I just rewatched it recently because it's on Netflix now.
Oh, it's not on ours. I had to obtain it by other means.
Oh, it's so good. I love it. But yes, it reminded me of Hedwig actually.
Yeah.
Because it's this beautiful little crossroads of, small town America meets the drag scene. So, yeah.
But where it goes well for them in the movie and everyone has a good time,
right.
It does not go well for Hedwig and they do not have a good time.
Exactly. Bless her heart.
So we see Hedwig fall from the sky and land into the chair in her new, /old home. It depends how you look at it, because this is the past.
Yes.
And I love how this both kind of represents Hedwig's journey back to the past to show us what happened, but also kind of Hedwig's shock and awe at the upheaval of being dumped in a new land. Like, and the shock and awe of what's about to come. Like, they're like, whoa, because they have traveled through time in the movie to show us something almost. But it's also like, holy shit, I'm in this new place. What's going on? And oh my God, Luther's leaving me. Spoiler alert.
Well, not much of a spoiler. I mean, it happens pretty quickly. And can we back up a second and just talk about as she's flying through the air, this waitress who kisses this kid? Yeah. What's happening here?
That is an excellent
point. It's just like reckless abandon.
It's interesting. What's going on?
It is. It's beautiful.
I love the way it's just showing the chaos that's happened in that brawl.
Yes. It's just madness. The mom is throwing food at the dad. The waitress kisses the son.
Love and war all at once.
It is.
Love and war, shock and awe. I just realised that I am inadvertently quoting the Hurt Locker part of the Broadway production because they have shock and awe in the lyrics.
Yes. And there's a whole song that Yitzhak sings that's the Hurt Locker song.
I only know that because I've got the music from it on vinyl.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm a pretentious jerk.
Oh, yes. Well, I have it on iTunes.
That's good too.
I don't think I have that song though.
Oh, really? Oh, it's on
because
the
I'm a
record.
snob. Yeah, I just downloaded the songs in not even in the right order, but but yeah, it's not in the off-Broadway, so I don't have it.
I get that.
But I do adhere to the Neil Patrick Harris version of Sugar Daddy though, because I can't deal with that twangy country thing that's on the original cast album.
I get it, but it's meant to have that kind of country vibe.
Yes,
it fits the scene and it fits the vibe they're going for, setting up where they're going to move to.
Yes.
So it works.
Once again, Americana mixed with reality.
And when Hedwig lands in the chair here, looking shocked and whatnot, they look shaken by everything. They still look very cute, though. They look very cute.
She does.
But she does look very different to how we know her in the movie so far. Much more muted and sort of homely. She hasn't discovered this new identity yet that's going to save her.
She hasn't become a rocker yet.
No. That's barely even there that we know. It's been very much hidden away and pushed down. Because even when they were Hansel, they had a lot of style. Hansel's clothes were wild for East Berlin. But Hedwig now seems almost beaten down.
And I love how she kind of falls into the chair like from above. Like she's dropping into it.
Yeah.
And I feel like she's just kind of in survival mode at this point. She's just trying to pass as a female army wife.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I'm sure people have enough problems with assholes these days, but back then, where they're living, that must be tough.
I like the electric lines that are they're just kind of like going over the top of their little trailer home.
Yeah, would that be safe? I don't know.
Probably not. No, I don't think so. No.
Which again tells you a lot about the life they're living. I mean, Luther is in the military. Surely he could have been providing somewhere better. Was he actually? This raises a question, right? Which I've never thought about before. Is this where they were living together, or did Luther give this to Hedwig as like a parting gift, like, you know, we're gonna split up, but you can move into here. I'm going back to the house.
Right.
I never thought about that. Maybe that's what he's doing. He's taking this young twink back to the home.
Well, it's very cluttered. It kind of looks like they were living there.
It does look lived in. That's the only thing. Yeah, that's why I always assumed they were Oh my God, wait, no, let's make it even worse. What if Hedwig was living here all along because he was kind of embarrassed and ashamed?
Oh, probably.
So he's kind of like, I got you your own place. It'll be great. We can live separately. It'll be easier that way.
I believe it, yes.
Considering what he's doing here, dumping Hedwig after everything they've been through, that wouldn't shock me.
With a shrug.
With a shrug.
He just shrugs.
I can't believe that.
It's just...
When you see him at the door here with the young twinky kid. Because that's what he's done. He's traded in for a younger model. Like, you instantly know what's happening. They don't even have to do anything. Them standing there tells you everything. He is leaving. And he's even got this young kid carrying his damn suitcases for him. That is like, what a jerk.
Who is this boy?
Yeah.
Is he a local Junction City?
I think so.
Just like, it looks like he runs track and field with what he has on.
Maybe that's the stylish look at the time.
Right. Luther with his, could be army pants, could be a uniform in a way. It almost looks like it. His white shoes.
I really like his look. Speaking of, looking cool, like we were saying, maybe this is a cool look. Luther, they do look kind of military pants. I didn't think about that. And that shirt, that's interesting to me. What's with the collar? It's got an almost like a religious kind of vibe to it.
It does. And it has a little bit of flair. It's got some floral pattern down the front.
Yeah. This is fancy. This is another thing that makes me think, like, couldn't he have been providing a better life all along for the two of them?
Oh,
yeah. At least Hedwig. That shirt, that's a fancy shirt. That's an expensive shirt.
It is. It's almost like he's showing off as he's leaving her, just with all the bling.
Basically.
And then he puts the cool sunglasses on and saunters away. Tragic.
That's the problem with Luther, isn't it, right? He's kind of cool, but he knows he's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And that's the worst. You shouldn't know you're cool. At least if you know it, don't go showing it off.
I just feel like this is the point where I just start to feel sad. I just feel, and Hedwig she's so complicated because you go through all the emotions of, she's so mean, but she's so funny. And, but this is really sad. And nobody deserves this. She's so innocent at this part, I think, too, with her hair is kind of braided. Aww. And she's, like we said before, she's got this really innocent schoolgirl kind of makeup going on. Her little jumpsuit. Luther's a fancy man.
Luther is kind of fancy, isn't he? And the way he just gives a little shrug, as you say, it's almost like, well, them's the breaks.
Right.
And then he does a little finger gun.
Yes, of course. Just to solidify his douchiness.
That's not how you leave someone you've had this connection to. Because it's not just like they were going out for a week.
That's not how you leave somebody who you forced to have an operation done.
Yeah.
Just so they could come live with you.
Well, that raises an interesting question I've asked a few people so far, which you've probably heard, is what do you think Luther was trying to get out of this relationship? Do you think he was setting out to be a jerk? Because he didn't have to go through all this hassle, surely. Do you think it's just they've grown apart naturally and he's not as bad as we're making him out to be, talking about him?
Well, I've thought about this a lot. I feel like Luther and her mother are the villains. And I've always kind of seen Luther especially as the true villain in this story.
Okay.
But I have a tendency to not like the male protagonist in most things anyways.
That makes perfect sense, don't worry.
Yeah. So I was biased to begin with. I never trusted him. So I don't think I personally don't think that his intentions were ever really true for her.
Yeah. I get that. It's a tough one for me to land on, though, because
it is.
He could have just dumped her when he moved back to America, really. It's a strange thing to go through all this hassle and then dump him. But I guess that just shows how much of a douche he is.
Exactly. And I feel like we kind of look at it with our modern eyes because at the time that it happened, he obviously didn't know that the Berlin Wall was going to come down. I mean, nobody knew that was going to happen, at least not that quickly.
It was a crazy kind of almost overnight happening. Yes.
And so I think we kind of look at it like, look at what everything that he did to her. And then it was all and that's kind of as the scene plays out, that's kind of what she's realizing. Yeah. Here's the wall coming down right as he's leaving me. So, and it looks, based on watching what he's doing as the wall is coming down, he doesn't know yet he doesn't even know yet. And here he is leaving.
No, he's not even paying attention.
Yeah, no, he has no idea. He doesn't care.
He just cares about this kid.
Right. And who's like plunking along, carrying the suitcases. And he's so awkward.
It's not just me who finds that hilarious, right? The awkward little jog.
The poor little boy. Well, and the thing is he's gonna leave him too. We all know it.
Definitely.
We all know it.
He's gonna hit it and quit it.
Of course, it's doomed from the start.
Yeah.
And is Hedwig wearing, what is on her necklace? Is it a coca-pelli?
That's an interesting question. I'm trying to freeze frame on it.
Yeah, she picks up the photos and it kind of goes in front of it, but
I can't quite make it out. It looks like one of those necklaces that's like in two parts, and you give one part to someone else, which would tie in, of course, to other themes in the film.
That must be what it is. Oh,
it could. I think it would have been hilarious if it was the logo from The Origin of Love. Like,
yes.
Would that be a bit too on the nose?
No, I love it. They didn't have the merch ready in time.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I've got that tattooed on me, so
you do.
I do. So I've got both of them because I couldn't decide. I was like, well, I can't get the one that's the two halves because, in a way, the whole point of the movie is that you don't need anyone else to complete you. You can complete you. So I kind of need the complete one, but I don't like the design as much. So I just got one on each side.
There you go.
Because then it tells a whole tale.
You're whole within yourself, just as long as you put your arms together.
Yeah, exactly. All you need is you, everybody.
That's right.
Someone else doesn't complete you. It can add something, but it doesn't complete you.
Well, I feel like you can't be a proper Hedwig fan without having that tattoo.
Yes.
So it's a requirement to get into the fan club.
It's if you listen to this podcast, you have to get it. If you
That's
don't
right.
provide me with proof, I'm going to cut you off.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Kicked out of the Facebook group. You're out.
Gone. Banished. Evildoers.
The funniest thing about Hedwig fans is whenever we meet each other, you know, I don't know if you've experienced this or not, but it's the first thing is, I love Hedwig. And the second thing is, here's my tattoo.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
I met a drag queen here in Liverpool. Well, they're not from here, but I met them here. And I think they did a reference to Hedwig in their show. So afterwards I said, I loved that reference to Hedwig. Like, you know, I'm going to do a podcast. I hadn't launched it yet. I'm going to do a podcast and I've got these tattoos. And they were like, me too. And just pulled like some of their clothing down. And they had the same tattoo as me.
Oh, that's amazing. Tattoo artists should just start putting it on their wall as flash that you can pick out. We got Hedwig. We got Rocky Horror.
Hell yeah. That'll be great.
All of them. All of the Broadway tattoos.
Yeah, I need to see more Broadway things. Like the problem is a lot of them don't come here. I was finally going to be seeing the Book of Mormon. It was my Christmas present from my partner.
Yes.
And I'm suspecting it's now cancelled because of the whole world collapsing.
Yes.
I mean, it's in July, so there is still hope, but I think time's running out as of recording.
They'll still have it, but you have to sit 6 feet apart from every person.
That would be weird at a show.
I know.
The show's kind of intimate, and then I don't know, that's a halfway house. I'm not sure if I'd like it or not.
Right. Well, and some of the theaters are starting to kind of talk about doing that whenever we reopen. We'll just open it at half capacity. And I have a couple of friends who are planning on doing summer shows, and we have to all sit really far apart, and it's just not. No. I don't understand.
I don't know. I get why they want to do it, because I don't mean this as a bad thing. They need the money.
Right.
I don't know how businesses are going to survive. I genuinely don't know how they'll bring cash in. So I get it, but I wish they didn't have to do that.
Right. Well, and so many of the theaters really need to sell as many tickets as they can in order to make any money at all. I mean, they have to fill those seats. And so I don't know what they're going to do. Just do it all online, please. And then we can watch it from our homes.
I think maybe something like that might be a good temporary solution. Like, do it for like a cheap price where you can tune in online. Like, and then, I could then attend, so to speak, shows abroad. I could watch stuff in America. I would pay a lot of money just to watch that Beetlejuice musical.
Oh my gosh, I know. And they went ahead and closed it.
Oh no.
It was supposed to, I think they were going to let it run a little bit longer just because of demand, but with all the closures happening, they had to go ahead and close it.
I think you'll see it again. Maybe not in that venue, obviously. They'll move it. It'll come back. It seems too popular. I know it's expensive to put on, but loads of people love it.
The thing I love about Broadway shows closing, though, is then we can do them regionally after they close.
Which probably throws up better shows sometimes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, and like you said, it's more intimate. They're usually smaller. They give people an opportunity who've wanted to play the role for so long, who never would have even been able to go to New York.
Yeah.
So you get true fans.
Like us, the real fan.
That's right. The real ones with our tattoos.
Hell yeah. You're not a fan if you don't have one.
I do have a moon tattoo. I'm just going to start telling people it's my Hedwig tattoo. It's like a crescent moon.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
I'm just going to say, you know what? That's my Hedwig tattoo. Let me in.
You are allowed in anyway. It's fine.
Okay, good.
But yeah, so Luther, he's done a runner, left Hedwig in a strange land, in a trailer park of all places. And I love Hedwig's face, right? It's perfect. John Cameron Mitchell really captures the sadness and anger that Hedwig's feeling. Because this is how I react. Like, I'm not bawling, like crying all over the place. I do this.
Yes.
That combination of sad and angry where you almost can't react. You have nothing to say.
She's just kind of shutting down.
Yeah.
Sort of in shock.
It's very relatable, although I've not been in this exact position, obviously.
Nobody has.
It's quite a unique one, but I think we can all relate to the emotion.
Yes. It's a very human reaction.
Really shows his acting skills there, I think. Because
yes.
Too many people, like, they can do one emotion at a time, which if I was an actor, that'd be me. I'm not talented. I can give you sad. I can give you angry. This is that interesting mix, and I love it. Love it. Love it.
It is. And I wonder who decided to do the close-up shot here. Because you really see the detail.
Well, that's what I love about the shots in this movie.
Yes.
Maybe because of when it was filmed. I'm not sure. But the camera work, it's a bit more old-fashioned, I want to say, because they hold shots a lot. It's not too frantic. Like a modern movie, I'm going to sound like an old grumpy bastard now. They cut.
Yes.
It's like frantic, isn't it? But this is a lot more like, that'll happen sometimes, but when it's needed to happen, every other time, hold the shot, just show the face.
And I feel like that's almost in a way a nod to the fact that it's a theatrical production.
Yeah.
Because you can't just clip and edit.
Yeah.
When you're watching a stage show.
Definitely.
And so whenever you have an actor who actually knows what they're doing.
It's rare these
like
days.
He does. Right. So you can leave the camera on him for a little bit longer.
Yep, definitely.
And that was not to go off on another tangent, but that was the problem I had with that Riverdale episode.
Oh my God.
It was edited to death.
It was.
I couldn't tell what was even going on most of the time.
I actually watched it last night.
Did you? Okay.
And I, as of recording, let me say this, listeners, watched it last night. And my partner and I have recorded a special episode about it, it's only going to be on the Patreon. But since you're a guest of the show, I can give you it for free.
Yay.
Because I thought it was okay, and Lol hated it.
Okay, good. I'm with Lol.
I appreciated what they were doing, because I imagine young people might discover Hedwig through it. So it wasn't perfect or anything. Some of the songs didn't make sense in the context they were putting them in.
No.
Which was odd. They didn't do very well at shoehorning them in.
No, they were just plugged in randomly. Kind of. I think I said that in my review. I reviewed it because there's nothing else to review right now.
Yeah.
And so I think I said that it was like Exquisite Corpse, where they have that random pattern. It's just kind of just wedged in there with no rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
It was, I know that whitewashing is a term that's used. I think cisgender washing needs to be a new term.
Oh, that's what Lol says on the episode, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, because she she was quite annoyed, especially with Wig in a Box. Because
Yes.
I mean, she liked the whole, you know, they're giving their friend a makeover to cheer him up and things. Like, that was cool, but it's the way it's there, the young, pretty cis girls singing like, "Look at the woman I've become," you know.
Right.
And it's like, well, it kind of makes sense in one context, but not in the context Hedwig is singing it.
No, exactly. And I felt that was the way I felt about Sugar Daddy. I was so horrified by Sugar Daddy when she pops the cherry in her mouth.
No,
And
I like it. Right? I'll defend the Sugar Daddy on that, because that character's whole deal is she's like overly sexual.
That's true.
So it kind of made sense in context, that one, I think. And she was just trying to show the principal, like, oh, look at how good Hedwig is. Look, and flirting with him to use that to get him to agree. And he didn't fall for it. I thought that was quite funny.
Oh, God. But they're singing it all to their principal. It was horrifying.
That's Riverdale for you, though. You know, I mean, in
my
season 1,
gosh.
Archie's sleeping with his teacher.
Oh, great. Fantastic.
That's the whole show.
Well, you're a fan of the show, so you can speak on it more than I can. And it was my own fault. I was like, I'm just going to watch this out of context and be horrified.
I mean,
and I was.
I like the show, and I acknowledge it's a piece of shit.
Exactly. I mean, there has to be a space in your heart for trash television.
Yeah.
It fills a void, a particular void.
Oh, so that tangent. Anyway.
Right. Yet another one. That was a good one.
So Hedwig picks... that was a great one. So Hedwig picks up some photographs that the two have taken together. And other bits and pieces as well. But the first thing is Luther suggestively eating a hot dog, which adds a little bit of humour in there to break things up. And it made me think, can anybody eat a hot dog and it not look lewd?
Right. And it's kind of a nod to the relationship. Like, they did have some fun together. They did have some lighthearted moments.
So that makes me think it wasn't all like he was trying to fuck them around and screw them over. He wasn't just hitting it and quitting it, like I mentioned before. They've obviously had some fun, maybe gone on some trips away together or something.
Yeah, maybe briefly.
Yeah,
they did the trip from Germany to the United States together.
Yeah, true.
That may have been it. And I think their marriage lasts a year. Is that right? It's been 1 year.
Which isn't the best going, but at least it's not like 2 weeks like some celebrities are.
It's not the typical celebrity marriage.
I think that anybody eating a hot dog that way, it's going to look dirty.
Yeah, it's not possible. And why would you want a photo of yourself eating a hot dog? I wouldn't.
It's the same with a banana. You can't eat it and it not look weird. It always looks weird.
Just don't take a picture of it. Don't Instagram it, please.
I'd have to have a vegetarian hot dog anyway, so I don't know.
Would
Junction City, Kansas, in that time that this is set, have veggie hot dogs?
No. They wouldn't even let you in.
I'm expelled.
They don't let vegetarians in.
No tofu dogs? Come on.
I mean, there probably is some. Yeah.
Probably now.
We have a pretty strong vegan restaurant community here in Oklahoma, so we're coming up in the world.
Oh, that's good.
But I don't think that's a vegan hot dog.
No, somehow no.
He's going the full thing here.
Well, when I went to Berlin, I still ate meat then. So I did just eat sausages the entire time.
Oh, good, perfect. That's what you're supposed to do.
Exactly, that was the thing, and pork knuckle and all this kind of stuff.
Oh no,
which is that's a speciality. They love that, and it was great. It was absolutely fantastic at the time, except after like 6 days of it or so, I was like, I need a break. I can't eat all this pork. This is going to be disgusting. I need assistance going to the bathroom.
You're kidding?
We had to go to the shop down the road. I think it was called like Kaiser or something, and get some fruit and vegetables.
There you go, some fiber. You're getting the meat sweats.
We called it the Berlin bloat.
Exactly. You're waking up in the dead of night, like.
Because they do legitimately there as well drink beer like even more than an English person, like just all the time. For lunch, you're having a beer, and you're on holiday as well, so you're having even more than a normal person.
Oh gosh. Oh my goodness.
So that doesn't help, combined with the pork.
It's a free for all.
Yeah.
But really, I feel like in this photo, it looked like they're at like an American like fair or something. Like,
I got that vibe, like because I've seen that in movies, and we have a similar thing going. And because you always here as well get our hot dogs. It's a slightly different sausage, but it's the same deal.
Yeah. And even in different parts of the U.S., the hot dogs are very different.
Oh,
if you get a Chicago dog is a very different thing than, say, like a chili dog. So there's a lot of snobbery involved with the hot dogs.
That's fascinating to me because our view of an American hot dog is quite set in stone. You know, it's like it's this one thing. Yes. This is what it is. And you can get a chili dog in some places where they just chuck chili on it, and there you go. Cool.
Oh, good.
But so what other types are there? What are these Chicago ones and stuff?
Yes. Well, Chicago dogs have a lot of vegetables on them.
Whoa,
they have, the bun is a poppy seed bun, and it has onion and a pickle and tomato, I believe. Oh. And you don't put any condiments on it.
Oh, now you're losing me. I at least want a little bit of mustard or something.
Right. So you eat it dry with all your veggie toppings. That's a Chicago dog.
Do they have cheese on it?
No. No.
Okay,
vegetables.
I'm going to make my own bastardized version. I'm going to take that, add some cheese and mustard. There you go.
I know. Perfect. And then down here in Oklahoma, you have a chili dog, which is your traditional chili with like meat and beans and tomato sauce. And then you pile that with onions on top and mustard and ketchup and cheese. So that's the way we eat them.
See, I've had that and I like that a lot. The reason I had that, weirdly, this is going to be very strange. When I was a kid, I was really into the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Right?
Oh, my kids are into that.
Oh, well,
we love it.
Is this the new one or do they watch the old one?
Okay, so there's so many of them, I don't know.
Oh.
There's like a series for every year on Netflix. There's one from 2019. There's a whole bunch of them. Anyways, go on.
Well, I'm talking like
Mighty Morphin.
Yeah, like what will that be, like 94, 95, something?
Yeah.
Probably. So back then, I liked that, and I had the like 1995 annual, so the book, and in it, the yellow Power Ranger listed a favorite food as a chili dog, and as an English person. Back in the 90s, I was like, what the fuck is that?
What?
So I had to find out what it was and have it.
Yes.
And it was great.
How was that experience?
It was a wonderful experience. It's a great combination of things, I think. Like, how can you go wrong mixing those two things?
Putting more meat on top of meat. But in New York, the way I understand it is they have the street vendor dogs. And those are just like boiled and in a steamer.
Yeah.
And you put like a soggy kind of like just steamed, I guess, bun, and then you just plop mustard on it. That's it.
That's how we picture an American hot dog. Yeah, that it would have ketchup and mustard here.
Yes, I think that's the truest sense.
Maybe some onions.
The one Luther's like just pounding down is like plain. I don't think it has anything on it.
It looks plain. I mean, the left of the screen there, it looks like maybe there's like an onion, but there's not a lot of onions if that's all I can see.
So he's one of those, like, he doesn't eat vegetables. He's like
meat,
manly man. Yes.
Oh, maybe that's what it is, because it's showing, he's a man's man.
Right, with his hot dog, with his suggestive photo of a hot dog.
And maybe that's one of the little hints that he's sort of going to leave Hedwig, because Luther wants a man or a boy. He doesn't want a woman, seemingly.
I've always been confused as to why, because all of this was orchestrated by Luther. So why, if you just want a boy, why not take the boy you've met and take him with you? Why does he have to become a woman?
I think it's the only way to get Hansel out. And I assume Luther's he's going to be moving back to America soon. But it seems extreme. Let's be honest, it seems very extreme. And maybe he thought, like, oh, it'll be fine. I can live with this. I can be with a woman. Maybe he thought it would go better.
I think so. I think at some point he just realizes that he can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Which it didn't take him very long to get there. I mean, 1 year. That's not much of a go.
Here's the thing. This is a question I've written down here. Do you think Luther has cheated on Hedwig? Because he's with this boy. They're leaving here and now. So presumably they have a relationship of some kind already.
Yes, I think so.
And I could see him doing it, yeah.
I think so, just because I tend to villainize Luther as much as humanly possible in this movie.
I get the impression and the vibe from him. He probably cheats. He's going to cheat on this kid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, he's already cheated the system, right? By bringing her over. So he's not exactly the most trustworthy guy to begin with.
No, absolutely not. And let's be honest, this is a guy who walked around carrying candy.
Exactly.
Massive bags of candy with him for no particular reason, surely only to lure sexy young boys.
He's quite predatory.
Yeah, it's weird,
especially at the
isn't it?
beginning. Well, and I think so much of my opinion of the character is, I mean, obviously based on the theatrical production, and you don't see him. There's only one person who talks in Hedwig, and it's Hedwig. And the whole thing is a monologue. So one actor is doing all the voices and doing all the characters.
Yeah.
So you only see Luther through Hedwig's eyes anyways.
Yeah, I forgot about that,
so
actually.
Yeah, in the movie, you actually see an actor portray all of these people. There's an actor who plays Tommy, and you see Luther personified, but in the theatrical production, you don't. You just hear, and they typically use this really gruff, like Southern sounding, like, yeah, once again, that really manly, stereotypical manly sounding voice. So, when Hedwig is telling this story, it is all in the past, and she is angry. So you already hate him before you even know him.
Well, you could argue in the movie, even though we're seeing him, it is still being told to us by Hedwig. It's from Hedwig's perception. It's from their eyes. So maybe they are an unreliable narrator.
Yes, definitely.
Maybe he's not as bad as we are being told. I don't believe that because I hate him, but still.
Exactly. I want to make him as bad as possible.
It is possible, though. He may be Hedwig because, this is the ex. You always demonize the ex.
Exactly. He can't be a good guy. I mean, just look at what he did. Just look at what he did. Look what he's doing right now in front of our eyes. He just can't be.
Yes. It's pretty hard to justify it, isn't it?
It is. We can't feel bad for him. And some parts of me wonder how much of this character is based on John Cameron Mitchell's father.
Yeah.
Because he was an army general.
That worries me.
I know, it worries me too. I think they had a good relationship though.
Yeah, from interviews I've seen, they seem to have a good relationship as far as I'm aware.
I think maybe he's just villainizing the army, the American, version of the military in a way.
Yeah. As
well. Which whenever you grow up in military families, they move a lot and they don't really ever get like a one place that's considered home. And
that's me. Same.
Yeah.
It wasn't the military, but my dad worked for the government. So I've lived everywhere. Pakistan.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Which I think as an adult, whenever you get that perspective, I mean, you can shed light on that more, but you get that perspective of, wow, I had this really cool childhood. I got to move around and I got to experience things. But as a kid, you hate it.
It's one of those weird things. Yeah, it's like in the moment when I'm at the new place and I've been there a while, I love it. I'm like, this is the best place we've lived yet. This is fantastic. And then I find out we're moving again and I'll be miserable and angry. Like, we're moving again. What the fuck? And then like a few months later, I'm settled in the new place. This is the best place.
That's like me. I can be happy anywhere.
Yeah.
I get attached very quickly.
It's a good thing. It's your survival technique, really, because
it really is.
You need to adapt quickly to these things. And I think Hedwig's not used to that. Maybe Luther is. Hedwig's certainly not used to that. They've lived in one place. They've lived in East Berlin, and now they're in this new place, left on their own. That's overwhelming. And I get the impression here, you know, they haven't got a lot of money themselves. You find out in Wig in a Box, there's a mention of them sort of working at a checkout. So they're, I assume, working in a store.
Well, and here at this scene in the theatrical production, she says, you know, she's just kind of sitting there watching the wall come down, and she says, "I'm divorced, I'm penniless, I'm a woman." So
like,
she's
as a
kind
question.
of, right. Like, am I? So, or I always kind of saw it as like, I'm a woman too, on top of all of those
all
things.
Of this, craziness.
Kind of just sort of coming to terms with all of it all at once. How did I get here? Which is, it happens to me every day.
Oh God, yeah. I think if you actually stop and think about your life, I think a lot of people would be like that. Like, whoa, hang on.
Exactly. I feel that way every time I go out into public right now. I'm like, I'm wearing a mask at the grocery store.
Yeah, it is pretty weird the way I get to travel for free around the city because of my job. So I get to just wave my work badge at the bus driver, and I walk on. It's weird. It's like,
there you go.
I get thanked by the police.
Aww.
I know, it's
well,
weird.
that's good.
It's odd. I'm usually fuck the police, you know.
Anarchy.
Yeah, but now I get them coming up and saying thanks for your hard work. Oh, okay.
You should just hiss at them.
Get away from me.
I like your memes that you've been sharing as well. Like, don't talk to me, you non-essential person. I'm essential.
Yes, we are a different class, a different breed of person. But the item in Hedwig's other hand is a postcard from Dear Mom. She's on holiday at last in Yugoslavia, which is kind of rubbing it in to Hedwig's face. Because they're upset and furious. You know, they gave up everything. And for what? You know, if they'd stayed at home, they'd sort of have a freer life than they ever had before. Then arguably than they do now. Poor in a foreign land. And now mum's on holiday.
Sunny Yugoslavia.
Yeah. It's the brief period where it would have been a good time and place to go. Yugoslavia was lovely just before it kind of all went to shit and there was a war going on.
So were the borders open then at that time for you could go to Yugoslavia? Well,
it was part of the sort of Eastern Bloc anyway. So you could go. Right. I think, you know, travel between the Eastern Bloc countries, that was the standard kind of vacation you would go on.
I see.
But I think, you know, with a lot of people couldn't because of money or time, or they just didn't have the urge to go. But now I think this is kind of just to illustrate, you know, things are getting better for everyone back home, but not Hedwig now.
And I always saw her mother escaping to sunny Yugoslavia as, finally, I'm free of this child that I've had to lug around.
Oh, you're like Mimi, I'm first. That's what she said on the show.
Yes. It's almost like a slap in the face. Another one.
Even if the mum doesn't mean it that way, sending this postcard is slapping Hedwig in the face, isn't it? Because Hedwig isn't going to be going on vacation.
No. It's such a mom thing to do. Like, oh, look, I'm on vacation, honey. Like, look what you've done to me.
Yeah,
and I'm sitting here by myself and you're on vacation.
It's wild. Oh, my God. And again, this is the brief period where Yugoslavia is like a really cool place to go. And a war is coming, sadly. But this...
Sunny.
Yeah, this is lovely. Look at that. That's nice. I know that's not... The actress isn't really there.
Well, she's holding a drink too, I think.
Yeah.
She's not smiling, though. She doesn't really look happy.
I don't think she smiles.
No.
She's a stern East German lady. She doesn't smile.
She doesn't know how. She's never really used those muscles.
No. But Hedwig throws the pictures away and spots something that we've talked about that makes matters even worse. The Berlin Wall is falling. Citizens are smashing it to pieces. So the symbol of what kept Hedwig trapped is being, you know, torn down before their very eyes. I imagine she's thinking, like, if only I'd waited a little bit longer. It's only been a year.
Yeah.
I know you can't know these things, but that must be what Hedwig is thinking right now.
And in the stage show, she mentions that she's watching it on bootleg cable.
Oh, it's not even paid for.
Right.
It's like
Right.
stolen cable.
I like the little tiny television as well.
Is that because they are quite poor, or thinking back to the time? I mean, it was quite common to watch stuff on a little TV. I don't think my TV was much bigger than this.
No. And there's some sort of decoration on top of it as well, like some sort of like a tablecloth or something.
I'm looking at that. Yeah, what the hell is it?
Like a table runner, kind of. Like you got to decorate the top. That's what we used to do with those big box televisions. We decorate the top of it, put a plant on it.
I put all kinds of stuff on there. I'd put all ornaments I'd collected. It was like another shelf.
It was. Picture frames. You had to really dress it up.
Yeah, I didn't have a cat at the time, but friends of mine who did were like, "Oh yeah, the cat would sleep on there."
Sure, yeah, because it's warm. It would be warm.
They must have been really confused when everyone got flat screens.
Right, the poor kitties.
But at the same time, I discovered flat screen technology, the way it projects the picture and whatnot, it enabled animals to see the screen. Whereas with CRT televisions, a lot of the time they couldn't actually see the picture.
Really?
Yeah. Because my cat, Drusilla, fucking loves the TV. She loves it. She's obsessed with, she loves Crazy Eyes in Orange is the New Black.
Oh, wow, yes.
Yeah, whenever she comes on screen, Drusilla is like mesmerized.
Yes.
Whoa.
It's a very intriguing character.
Yeah.
Does she like to watch Buffy?
You know what? Since we've had her, we have not watched Buffy.
Oh, no. You need to. You need to teach her all about her namesake.
Well, we were doing a rewatch of Buffy and Angel alternating like it did on TV. And they took Angel off Netflix at the time, on UK Netflix. And I think Buffy came off a week later. So we were like, oh, fuck's sake, we can't carry on. They're all back on Amazon Prime for free now, if you've got Prime, which we do. So we can do it again, but that was about 5 years ago.
Oh, darn. You have to start over now.
Yep. Start over.
You're going to have to do another podcast.
Oh, don't tempt me.
You must. There's not nearly enough talked about Buffy.
Me and Lol attempted to do a podcast of our own, but it was going to be, I believe, about Sweeney Todd.
Oh, really? I just learned about Sweeney Todd being based on a true story the other day.
I saw your post about that, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Which I couldn't find anything.
Based.
Okay. Yes. But, I mean, you had the butcher shop and the barber shop right next to each other. And I'm sure they weren't really named Sweeney Todd, but.
No, things like that. You have to take some artistic license.
Well, and it was in Paris. And isn't the actual Broadway show and the movie based in London?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So we've moved locations.
The actual.
It's all a mess.
The tale of Sweeney Todd, because it's an old story. It's not just a play and whatnot. It's an English story. I think it stems from the Penny Dreadfuls, which are like old comic books,
Yes, that's what it was actually on a podcast. That's what the podcast said, that it was in the Penny Dreadfuls. Yes.
So it's a very Victorian thing, like to make up a disgusting story for children to like go, oh God.
It's so Victorian.
Yeah.
Put Alan Rickman in it, and then you're good. You're golden.
He is the best in that movie version. I love his bom 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 bom.
I've never seen the stage show. I really want to, but I'm afraid.
I love the movie, and that's what we would cover. But the stage show, right? We haven't seen it live. We've seen it like on recorded productions of it. It's too much like, it's going to sound stupid, it's a musical, as in everyone is doing that I'm on Broadway voice.
Ugh, yeah.
Like I'm a singer. Whereas I love the movie for the same reason the Broadway fans don't, which is they're not proper, real, stage singers, which I think fits the characters more. Sweeney and Mrs. Lovett should be gruff and rough Londoners, with these tough kind of voices where he's like, you all deserve to die.
The more Cockney, the better, I think.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
I do too.
That's rougher and tougher. It's good.
It's scarier.
But, we'll get to that one day. That's all the notes I have for the actual chapter itself. Do you have anything else about the chapter before I do my little nostalgia moment?
I don't think so. No. I think we pretty well covered it.
We did. See, I told you we'd have a lot to say. People always think, oh, what am I going to say? Goes everywhere. But my nostalgia of the episode is the fall of the wall in music and other nonsense. So basically the basics here. Removal of the wall began on the evening of the 9th of November, 1989. It continued over a few days and weeks. Like, it was in bits and pieces. It didn't all happen at once because that wall, that was a big wall. That was a strong wall. So the Brandenburg Gate was opened on the 22nd of December. That sort of was, if you've been to Berlin, like, the wall ran right past the gate. And if I remember correctly, East Germany had the gate. They had the, big symbol of Berlin, which is pretty wild. Wow. You'd assume the Western side would try and steal that. Yeah. But, so the gate opened 22nd of December, 89. And on that date, the West German Chancellor Helmut Kohl walked through and was greeted by the East German Prime Minister Hans Modrow. And I liked that because, of course, Helmut Kohl is mentioned in the stage version of Hedwig.
And in Sugar Daddy.
Yes.
Erich Honecker and Helmut Kohl.
Yes. Honecker's gone by this point, but Helmut Kohl is still
there. Very relevant figure at this time.
And then on the 21st of November, actually, slightly before, Crosby, Stills and Nash performed the song Chippin' Away from Graham Nash's solo album, Innocent Eyes, in front of the gate.
Weren't there several concerts that occurred?
Oh, yeah. That's the main reason I wanted to point out to people that removal of the wall happened in stages, because lots and lots of musical performances happen. Because then on New Year's Eve 89, David Hasselhoff performed his song "Looking for Freedom" while standing atop the wall.
Let's pretend that didn't happen.
I love it though, because it's so cheesy. Germans, can you please tell me? Do you think that Westerners are really into Hasselhoff? Is that why you got him on board? That's another podcast I want to do, by the way. I want to cover Baywatch Nights.
See, there's a market for it.
Yeah, do you remember that show?
I've heard of it vaguely.
It's basically when Baywatch decided to rip off the X-Files.
Oh, cute. I guess I didn't know that.
So, Baywatch will get attacked by aliens and things.
Oh, goodness.
It's amazing.
I bet it's very scientific and historically accurate.
Oh, yes. It's they really did their research for it, yeah.
Hard-hitting. I did not know that David Hasselhoff was a singer as well. His talents know no bounds.
No, he is. He's got a few numbers. I think the last song I remember him doing was "Jump in My Car," where he's driving around in Kit from Knight Rider, picking up young girls, which is a bit unsettling.
Oh, yes.
So come and jump in my car.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. Oh, an American treasure, that man.
I love this performance, though. I've been looking for freedom.
Oh.
You have to sing it badly like I just did. That is part of the point. That's the whole
point. He sang it very well.
No.
So he's saying here it is, y'all are free now. Yep. Yay.
And there's kind of a running gag here in the UK, because we like Hasselhoff as well, weirdly. I don't know why.
Oh, okay.
There's a running gag where it's Hasselhoff, he brought down the wall. It was his performance that did it, it's all him.
Well, I don't know much about Bowie, which we were just talking about Bowie, but did he not perform a concert at the wall?
I don't. That's weird, right? I'm a huge Bowie fan and a history fan. I don't know of that. It could have happened.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay. Maybe I don't know.
Update. John was wrong. Bowie did play at the wall, and I will provide a link to an article about it in the show notes and on the Facebook group. Now, his song Heroes is all about the Berlin Wall.
Oh,
He
interesting.
lived in Berlin for a while with Iggy Pop. They moved there to get away from the drugs they were doing. It was let's get clean. Let's move to Berlin.
Yeah, that's a good place for it.
Well,
apparently
no one had heroin there. It was there was no heroin around. It was just I can't remember what he said. It was just coke or speed or something. It's so that's fine.
You got to buffer it down. You got to
Yeah.
in stage, baby steps here.
Well, I did have as well some more performances. Roger Waters performed the Pink Floyd album The Wall just north of Potsdamer Platz on the 21st of July 1990. I've been to Potsdamer Platz. I didn't know this because I don't really care about Pink Floyd, but there you go. And he had special guests joining him. He had Bon Jovi, Scorpions, Bryan Adams.
Goodness.
Sinead O'Connor.
Of course.
Yeah, Cyndi Lauper, mixing it up there. Cyndi Lauper.
Even better.
Thomas Dolby, who I love because I've done a podcast about the movie Rockula, and he's in it.
Oh, cute.
It's a musical, and it's interesting. In fact, I'm going to make that, if I haven't already, free on the Hedwig section of the Patreon for people to get them into the kind of vibe of things.
There we go.
Yeah, and the episode we did about cats as well.
The new movie?
Yeah, we all went to see it and commiserated each other afterwards.
Oh goodness, I'm too afraid.
It's delightful.
I don't like shows in theater, or I mean cartoons are fine, but I don't like shows about animals. I don't.
You will really hate this because there's no plot. It is just here's a cat, here's its character trait, and now here's another cat, and here's its character trait.
So I did grow up being tortured by my mother with the Cast album, so I do know all the songs. Memory is in my memory forever. I do know all of the songs, but you would think that there would be something more to it than just what's on the Cast album, but no, apparently not. Apparently not.
Absolutely
That's it.
not. No.
That's all of it.
It is.
I don't even like The Lion King.
I love The Lion King.
I know. Aren't I terrible? I'm a terrible theater person. Well, it's supposed to be the human experience. That's what theater is, not the animal experience. I don't know. And then one randomly, but I did see Aladdin, the tour. I was in St. Louis for work, and I saw Aladdin, and all of the animal companions in the movie have been turned into like a gaggle of friends in the stage production. It's a very weird translation.
Okay.
Because Jasmine kind of talks to her tiger because she doesn't have really any other friends.
Yeah.
And so now she has like this group of girls that just hang around her. I don't understand. It's a weird translation. So they tried to not go full Lion King with it and just sort of translate it into humans. And now Abu is not named Abu. He's just like a funny sidekick who wears a cute hat. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. The musical numbers are amazing. Never Had a Friend Like Me is incredible. So that alone is worth it, but it's a strange adaptation.
So there's at least things to enjoy.
There are a lot of things to enjoy about it. And I did like it much better than Lion King. So
okay.
So there we are.
Well, some other people who I went off on a tangent, and then we both did. Some other people who joined Roger Waters. I had another few. I have here Joni Mitchell, Marianne Faithfull, Rick Danko. I'm not sure who that one is, but that's probably showing my age. I don't know some of these people. And Van Morrison. Yeah, so quite a mixture. He really did mix it up there, Roger Waters. Getting some people who were cool at the time, but not one style. Because Cyndi Lauper, I wouldn't put next to Van Morrison.
No. I
love Cyndi. She's a treasure.
Yes. Oh, gosh, yes. Well, it's like, we can't be too cool. We got to be a little bit cool, but not too cool. Got to have a good mix.
Yeah, I think that works. It's a bit like that sort of online music festival Lady Gaga put on. Most of the people I hate on it, but there's one or two.
Goodness.
I tuned in for Elton John, and I swear that man was drunk.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm
sure.
He didn't do the best performance, but it was fascinating.
I was always a Lady Gaga fan.
I love
her. I do love her. But did you know that her stage shows or her tours are scripted?
In what way?
She says, so her talking in between each song is a written script.
Oh, I get that. I don't care. I don't hold that against people. Yeah, I'm sure she will deviate from it in the moment, but you want to have a kind of basic. It's a bit like I've had a few friends complain when they've seen a comedian and then they've seen them again, and it's like the same kind of set. And I'm like, well, what do you expect? This is their show. Like,
Just see, that's your rookie mistake. Just see them one time during that tour.
Yeah.
And then the next round, they'll have new stuff.
Exactly. It's like recently I watched a live, like online show by, well, again, Jinx Monsoon, bringing them up. And I didn't realize when I booked it that it was the same name of the show that I saw them on a year ago when they were in the UK. So it was the same show. But I didn't care because it was so good. But they were going, they had all the same gags talking about Gaston from Disney and his giant dick.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, you would forget a lot of it if it had been a while. You would remember it as it was being said, so that's okay.
I find that fun when you go like, oh, this bit's great.
You're nudging people next to you.
Yeah.
This bit's really funny.
The only other fact I had was the football team or soccer team, depending on where you are, Hertha Berlin. They commemorated the 30th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall by tearing a fake wall down in their match against Red Bull Leipzig, which I thought was hilarious. You can get a video of it. If it's still on YouTube, I'll post it into the group when this airs.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that's a really fun way. That's quite an American thing to do. Theatrics
it
in
is.
sports. Yeah.
a little, maybe tasteless in a way, but that's okay.
I really like that about America, right?
Really?
No, I really do. I find it endearing. Is the sort of the over the top enthusiastic approach to things. Like you'd be really into stuff like that, wouldn't you? Like theatrical things in the middle of your sporting events. And I like the sincere enthusiasm that comes across.
Yes.
Especially because everyone in England is a miserable bastard.
Well, I love how, like, when you get big sporting events like the Super Bowl, and so you have two camps. You've got the people who want to watch the game, and then you have people that want to watch the halftime show, and they don't meet in the middle at all. They just happen to be watching it the same thing. So
that's the only time I've seen American football there is the Super Bowl. And
yes.
I mean, I enjoyed the halftime stuff. It was kind of fun and funny and interesting, but that sport, it's too long. It's too long.
Yes.
Why? It takes all day.
I can't watch anything for 4 hours.
No, I love wrestling, right? I can't watch one damn wrestling pay-per-view because it's 4 hours long. I'm like, after about an hour and a half, 2 hours, I'm like, ugh, I need a break.
And the main event, I guess, is not till the very end anyway, like 4 hours later.
Exactly. I've started watching it over like 4 days now. I'll watch like an hour a day. And I'm like, that's good. I'm fine.
Good. Got my fix.
Yeah.
Got my hour. I got my hour in. It's like exercise, watch your wrestling.
Yeah. No event should be 4 hours, except maybe some kind of amazing play. Sometimes plays are long.
I don't think I could do it for that long.
Maybe not 4.
If it was a musical, definitely not. I would be so worn out.
I don't know. Would I be able to? I have been to a music festival, so I was watching bands for more than 4 hours, but they were different groups. So I don't know. Maybe I could. Maybe.
You get breaks in between.
If it was as good as Kinky Boots was when I saw that, fucking sign me up. That's great.
Oh, goodness. You know, Kinky Boots was supposed to be a local production here. One of the summer stock shows this summer. We were going to finally get to see Kinky Boots. And Kinky Boots, it's so funny because every time I tell people that Hedwig is my favorite show, they think I'm talking about Kinky Boots.
Oh, really? Oh.
And so I have to explain, no. It's not Kinky Boots. Okay.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen it, but I guess there's a drag queen that kind of takes the character under their wing and sort of teaches them the ways of drag. And I think that's what Kinky Boots is about. Yeah.
But they help each other because the drag queen saves his business. I'm not going to do any spoilers, but the whole point of the story is that the guy owns a shoe company. He doesn't want to. He's inherited it from his dad. And it's going out of business. They're losing money. So he decides he's going to pivot into sort of making shoes for drag queens and things.
Oh,
so
wonderful.
The drag queen comes and helps the business and helps the shoes out. And then he helps him in his relationships. And whatnot.
Oh.
It's moving and silly and fun and dramatic all at once. It's great.
And it's Cyndi Lauper music, right?
Yeah, and you can tell she's written it. It
that's
sounds
amazing.
like she's written it. Yeah.
Rub it in. So now I don't get to see it. I think they're
Aw.
going to do it next summer, but
That'll be good. Well, but speaking of music, though, we should move on to music recommendations. Now, as usual, I get two because I'm a bastard. So my first one was I was going to recommend "Train in Vain" by The Clash. Now they're like my top 3 bands of all time anyway, so it's, I'm going to recommend them 1,000 times. But "Train in Vain" is from London Calling, and this song is all about a breakup, basically. So it's he's asking, did you stand by me, and all this in the lyrics. No, not at all. And I thought it reminded me of Luther. Luther didn't stand by Hedwig when they needed him. Luther just fucked off because he's a bastard. Yeah.
it's a good song for him.
Yeah, it's a good song anyway. It's not one of my favorite Clash songs, I'll be honest, but it fit the theme of this, and it's one of their most popular ones. So, it's going to appeal to more people listening to the playlist as well. So what was your choice or choices? Sometimes people slip more than one in.
Oh, I'm just going to do one. That was my assignment. I knew my assignment was one. I am picking Christmas by The Who.
Oh.
Off the Tommy album.
Yeah.
And the reason why, because I don't know The Who really, and I don't know the album of Tommy. My
Tommy
only
is a crazy film.
Yes. Well, the only thing I really knew about it before was from Almost Famous when she gives him the album. The older sister gives William the album and says, listen to Tommy and you'll see your future or something ridiculous like that. But I actually first heard the song Christmas at a musical review show at a local university this past Christmas holiday season. And so they were performing Christmas songs from musicals. And one of the students sang Christmas by The Who. And it was not until that moment that I realized that the line in that song, Tommy, Can You Hear Me, is in Hedwig in the stage production. Yes.
I never made that connection.
I know. Neither did I. Not until I just heard that song. She says, one of the moments when she opens the door and she's yelling at Tommy, she says, Tommy, can you hear me?
Tommy, can you hear me?
Yes. And it's from that song. And I never knew it until I heard that song. So that's why I picked it.
Revelations.
I know. Isn't that incredible?
Holy crap.
I never knew. And it's such a good song too. And I guess Tommy, like I said, I'm not the one to talk about that album or movie or show or anything. I don't know it. But I think Tommy is a concept album where it tells a story of this figure who's blind and deaf, I think. I don't know. But so anyways.
Blind, deaf, and dumb.
Oh, poor thing.
But he's a wizard at pinball.
Oh, well,
very
perfect.
weird.
It's so weird. It's so weird, but I love it. And there's so many musical references just kind of throughout the show and the movie that even if you don't, you have to know that. And even if you don't know them, you kind of discover them as you go along. And that's what happened to me was I heard that song live at that show and it just hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is in Hedwig. So that's why I picked
crazy. You've changed my life with this.
Oh, good. Thank goodness.
Well, my other choice, because I try and mix it up stylistically as well. My other choice is the song "Walls" by Fred Locks, a reggae song. And I love this song anyway because it's about like paranoia and being trapped, literally like trapped inside, which is quite fitting to what's going on in the world right now. And it's fitting to Hedwig because they feel trapped now. They're alone. They're stuck in this trailer. I mean, maybe they have a job at this point. You're not quite sure. But even then, they don't have any friends or anything. They're just here on their own. They have nothing. And also, of course, it's called Walls. What's happening? The wall is coming down.
Yes.
It's a very claustrophobic reggae song. I love it. Because I like reggae anyway, and too many people think it's like Bob Marley, who's great, don't get me wrong. But there's a lot of dark reggae songs, and this is one of them.
Well, she's kind of quarantined, isn't she, right now?
Yeah.
In this scene.
We all feel like Hedwig at the moment.
We're all feeling it.
I can't go to the pub, damn it. I want to go to the pub.
Nothing's open.
No.
I'm quarantined inside the walls of my home.
I always support my local establishments, and now I can't.
I know.
I do what I can. Some of them are doing online kind of delivery things.
Yeah. And Hedwig doesn't really know if she has a job, just like everybody else doesn't know. Nobody knows if we have a job right now. It's all very relevant. And that's one of the things that's so great about Hedwig. There's always some relevance to your everyday life in every moment of this movie.
Yeah. If anything, it's more relevant than ever, right?
It just keeps getting more and more relevant, which is kind of scary.
Well, everybody, you all go off and try and get over all of this like Hedwig is. Take after Hedwig. Reinvent yourself. Come out of this a new person. And we will head off down the road. We'll hop into the van one more time and get to the next gig. So would you like to tell our listeners where they can find any work you've done or how they could get in touch with you online, maybe? Anything you want to plug?
Sure. I can be found on Broadway World. You have to pick region, and I'm in Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And if you want to do the links to Instagram and Twitter and all that, then we can do that too.
Yeah. I mean, I'll link to it in the show notes, but if you want to mention it too, feel free.
Sure. On Instagram and Twitter, I'm Lady Rochford.
That sounds very English.
Oh, it's definitely Henry VIII's Anne Boleyn's sister-in-law was Lady Rochford.
Yes.
She was married to George Boleyn.
Oh, what a strange poll, but I love it.
Yes, and it's another one of those, like, it was just a username that I just decided on years ago, and it stuck. So,
hey, you've got to get these names from somewhere. I go with Jonathan. People know me as that. It's just a reference to a movie.
Oh, perfect.
It's from Everything is Illuminated. It's a book and a movie.
So nobody knows your real name then?
Well, it's John.
There you go.
It's just in the movie, Elijah Wood's character is called Jonathan, and Eugene Hoots from the band Gogol Bordello, he's playing this Ukrainian guy, and he can't pronounce Jonathan because he's like, what's your name? And he's like, oh, Jonathan. He's like, Jonathan? It's like, no, Jonathan. Jonathan.
Oh,
like,
cute.
Yeah, Jonathan.
See, that's perfect.
It's good. And Gogol Bordello, one of my favorite bands of all time, so that's perfect. I love them so
Even
much.
better.
They're great. I think Hedwig would have approved of them as well.
Of course.
And you can get in touch with me at the Facebook group Hedwig's Wicked Little Town, Twitter at Hedwig Pod, Instagram, same again. Come and buy a t-shirt on TeePublic, and now, as of this, I've launched the Patreon if people want extra bonus stuff. The main show's always going to be free, but this is just bonus things related to Hedwig in some capacity. So, episode 1, we're talking about how to talk to girls at parties, the John Cameron Mitchell directed movie that came out a few years ago. Episode 2, we're talking about Riverdale.
Oh, good.
And that'll be out when this comes out. So, come and check that out if you've got a spare couple of dollars, pounds, euros, or whatever you want to donate to me, and get a few bonus things in the meantime as well. It's like $2 a month, and you're going to get at least one a month. But if you want $3 a month, you also get the Batman episode. So, ooh,
hey,
extra stuff. I did a deal for you.
Bonus material.
But also, I understand at the moment people are going through a tough time. You don't have to come and get it if you don't want to. It'll be there whenever you want. So do that, and I will see you next time for chapter 11 of Hedwig, which will be... Can you guess?
Wig in a Box.
Wig in a Box. Hell
yeah. My favorite song.
Oh, your favorite song? Oh, I'm stopping for a second then. Favorite song?
They're all my favorite. They're all my favorite songs.
I think it's now my favorite song.
I do too. I honestly do. Actually, no. Yes. It's my favorite song today.
How can you pick though, really?
You can't.
But I think over the years, like that, when I first watched it, that was my least favorite. Possibly that or Wicked Little Town, and now I love them more and more and more and more. And I think Wig in a Box, probably the most fun I have watching the show. Well, watching the movie.
Me too.
Oh, well, come and check that out, everybody. Next time, chapter 11, Wig in a Box.
Meine Damen und Herren, ob's euch passt oder nicht, Hedwig!
Berliner Mauer. Kommt, reißt mich an, try to tear me down. I was born on the other side of a torrid too. Nach vorne fahren mich rüber gemacht. Now I'm coming back to you. Enemies and adversaries to try to tear me down. You want me, baby, I dare you. Try to tear me down. Ooh, ooh. Mit Gravity, Spur und Blut. Enemies and adversaries, they try to tear me down. You want me, baby, I dare you. They try to tear me down. Enemies and adversaries, they try to tear me down. You want me, baby, I dare you. Try to tear me down.
Am 13. August 1961 wurde mitten durch Berlin eine Mauer errichtet. Die geteilte Welt stand sich im Kalten Krieg gegenüber. Und die Berliner Mauer war das meist gehasste Symbol dieser Teilung. Verschmäht, mit Graffitis besprüht, bespuckt. Wir dachten, die Mauer würde für immer stehen bleiben. Aber sie ist weg, gefallen. Und wir wissen nicht mehr, wer wir sind. Meine Damen und Herren, Hedwig ist wie diese Mauer. Sie steht vor euch auf der Grenze zwischen Ost und West. Unterdrückung und Freiheit, unten und oben, Mann und Frau. Ihr könnt versuchen, sie niederzumachen, aber vergesst eins nicht!
Bild oder Mauer, es ist doch scheißegal. Ohne mich in der Mitte, bitte, war alles wie so normal. Enemies and adversaries, they try to tear me down. You want me, baby, I dare you. Try to tear me down. Enemies and adversaries, they try to tear me down. You want me, baby, I dare you. Try to tear me down. That's right, baby. Oh my God. I'm home. I'm home. Where I belong, at der Komische Oper. Bonsoir, mesdames et messieurs. Guten Abend. Grüß Gott, Herr Bürgermeister. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not your host. I am just a cheap attraction. You know, I am a cheap international attraction, and I'm gonna leave you here. And I see so many beautiful people, but there's one guy in this room while he's backstage. God, so nervous. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Jürgen, your host. Give it up, come on.
Einen wunderschönen guten Abend. Sven Ratzke und Band. Das ist euer Applaus. Wir sehen und hören Sie natürlich später noch mal wieder.